The Battle of Yorktown. It all started when Nathaniel Greene, Washington's second-in-command, takes command of the Continental Army in Virginia.
Let's take him down!
After Greene harassed Cornwallis with co-commanders von Steuben and Lafayette, the British commander decided to move his troops to Yorktown to stay in contact with the British fleet. A fatal mistake.
Let us attack New York. When is de Grasse coming?
Unfortunately, Monsieur de Grasse won't be able to help us at all if he has to sail all the way up to Manhattan. We should attack somewhere closer to the Caribbean.
But where? Most of the South is impregnable, and up in the North, the only target worth taking next to the sea is New York.
But what if we're attacking someone instead? Lafayette has just reported that Cornwallis has holed himself up in Yorktown at the Bay of the Chesapeake. Let's strike there.
I would have preferred to attack New York, but this is also an excellent opportunity. Send word to de Grasse to block the Chesapeake Bay. I, in the meantime, will attempt to confuse Henry Clinton as to our intentions. We don't want that meddling bungler interfering with our plans, would we?
Meanwhile, in the West Indies, de Grasse had to escort a convoy to France and would only be able to help Washington with 20 of his 28 ships. However, help came from an unexpected quarter. Francisco Saavedra, an agent of the Spanish monarch in the West Indies, had access to Spanish ships stationed in Cuba. Saavedra promised to protect this convoy until October 14th, when de Grasse had to pull out. Until then, however, de Grasse had a whole fleet at his command. Washington ordered Lafayette, who was marching towards New York, to turn around and pin down Cornwallis at Yorktown.
Take this to Lafayette, post haste.
Yes, sir.
Allons-y, Yorktown!
Meanwhile, Washington and Rochambeau combined their armies in New York and began a series of forced marches that will end on September 28th. Washington, leaking fake letters to the British spy network, makes it seem as though the combined French-American army will attack New York rather than Yorktown. Clinton's huge army was rendered useless. When the three armies were combined, there were more than 18,500 troops on the Patriot side. The British, with their 9,000 troops, appeared doomed.
I'm doomed! Abandon the forward defenses. I don't know why, but just do it! They're gonna kill us all anyways. Oh, God.
Cornwallis, for reasons unknown, decided to abandon the forward redoubts. The Patriots did not stop to think about it and occupied the abandoned defenses. They began to set up the cannons to bombard Yorktown. The Patriots slowly began to advance. One by one, the redoubts fell. Mr. Talton, who was known for his cruelty, finally got what was coming to him when, on a scouting mission, he was wounded and his entire force was wiped out. As the Patriots began to set up even more cannons near Yorktown, Cornwallis despaired.
Gah! I really hate these guys, but we're gonna fall eventually. If I surrender, well, I could save lives. Men, send for the drummers. Tell one of the officers to negotiate the surrender.
Yes!
Cornwallis sent out a drummer and a British officer waving a white flag. The officer was blindfolded and brought behind the Patriot lines, where negotiations began. Cornwallis, at the surrender, refused to come on the grounds that he was sick, although some think that he was faking it and was too ashamed to come out.
I'm too upset to go out and surrender my sword. What should I do now? Oh, I know. I'll send O'Hara to surrender for me. And I'll pretend to be sick.
At the surrender, Cornwallis's second-in-command, Charles O'Hara, mistook Rochambeau for Washington and attempted to surrender the sword to him. Rochambeau refused and pointed out Washington, who refused as well, since he would only accept the sword from Cornwallis himself, and pointed out his second-in-command, Horatio Gates, the victor at Saratoga and the loser at Camden. After this, Lord North, the Prime Minister at the time, supposedly shouted out,
It's all over.
after hearing the result of the battle, because he knew they could go on no further. Britain could no longer pay for a new army, and was forced to sue for peace. They negotiated for 2 years, but in the end the Treaty of Paris was signed in 1783, and Britain recognized the United States as a country. Yorktown was the last major battle of the Revolution, and a resounding victory for the Patriots.